This
feel
call is being recorded.
feel part of what's going on. So, in any event, one quick question. I asked it to you before, and I couldn't retrieve it in the notes, and I didn't want to sit through the whole thing again. The old convertible, what color was it again?
We still have it, and it's like silver.
Silver. I'll remember that. I love to hang on to a car myself. The trouble with going through the notes is they're very useful, the transcripts, but there are often misspellings, and so it's hard to do searches for specific things because the words are a little off in their spelling sometimes. It's easy to read, but not easy to search in. All right, well, you're just coming home from China, from the studio and the factories and the prototype, and having placed your order, and your plane is landing at O'Hare, I take it. And what was going through your mind at that moment?
I was very tired.
I've made that trip myself, and I can understand that. Once you got some sleep, got over the jet lag, other side of the world. What were your thoughts? You'd made a little drawing, and you made a cup, and your dad said maybe we should do something with this, and then you said sure, why not? And suddenly you're off to China and placing orders, and how did you feel about that?
I remember thinking for a hot second, what have I gotten myself into?
And you landed, and it was. Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And and so I guess your dad, who's somewhat experienced in these matters, told you what next you were up to. What was the very next thing you and he had to do? Again, I'm going over ground I already know from notes and things, but it's good to get it in your words as much as possible to work with.
Yeah. The next thing we did was we made the video for the Kickstarter campaign.
The crowdfunding. And how did you make the video? Did you write it? Did he write it? Did you write it together or plan it?
He planned it mostly.
And you were in the video for the crowdfunding to seek help in the crowdfunding. First time you'd ever been in a video, I imagine. Were you a little nervous?
More bored than anything.
If I forgot, where was the video made? In your home?
I might have to go back to that.
That's all right. If you don't remember something, that's fine. This is years ago, and I'm asking things that are hard to retrieve. But you did the. How long did it take you? Did it take you the whole day to get the? You had someone come in to shoot it, or did you shoot it yourselves?
Yeah. It was my dad and I that shot it ourselves.
How long did it take you to do it? I can imagine it took a whole day. It's amazing when while you're in your grad day, and your grandpa was in making films and such. It can take a long time just to make a couple of minutes of video to work.
Yeah.
Did it take most of a day,
day? Yeah, I'd say the whole day.
You were probably tired at the end of that. The trouble with getting into an adventure is that it can be very tiring.
Yeah.
So you made the video. But how much time passed from the time you returned home from China to making the video?
I mean, I'd say more than a few months, honestly.
School year started up again by then, probably. 'Cause yeah, you were late July was the trip. And again, I have to refresh with the notes, but how long were you told it would take before the first cups arrived?
Like a few months, I think.
A few months. So you made the video before the cups and everything. You tried to get that going, pending the arrival of the cups. Okay, so you made the video. Did your father tell you got home from China, it's time to make a video? Did your father say, well, now the next step is we need to make a video, or did he explain to you about were you aware of how crowdfunding works at all?
At the time, I really wasn't aware of how it worked, but once we got the video up, he explained it to me.
And so you made the video, you had the video, and your father uploaded it, did what you do to get on there, out in the public. And what kind of response, were you optimistic, or were you expecting a big response or no response, or were you pleasantly surprised by the response?
I wasn't really expecting a huge response, honestly. But and then I was very much surprised after that when it was actually funded.
And so basically, you got home, you did the video, you put it up, and you were funded in rather short order, because these things do happen quickly. And so now it was just a question of waiting for the cups to come, right? Or when did again, I'm asking you to go over ground. At just about this time, the Tribune was getting involved, right?
Yeah, around the time, yeah.
A little after the crowdfunding went out?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do have to go over time points because I have notes coming from every direction your father used, articles and videos, and some of them conflict as far as time order are concerned, and I want to get it right. So then, and how did the Tribune, your father knew someone who knew someone at the Tribune, isn't that sort of how it worked?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And then the person, the reporter, Melissa, I don't have it in front of me, came out to interview you and your family at your house, right?
No. The reporter's name was Melissa Harris.
Melissa, I remember Melissa. That's all.
Yeah, and what happened was she came over to 1871 at the Merchandise Mart, which is where my dad used to have his.
This is where he's headquartered.
Yeah.
Well, it's an easier trip, and you and your dad met her there.
Mhm.
And she interviewed you.
Mhm.
Now I've interviewed, oh my goodness, I've interviewed thousands of people over the years as a reporter, and a great many of them typically they're a little ill at ease because they're talking to a stranger, whatever, even if it's a happy story or a sad story, whatever story. They're talking to a stranger, and they know that what they say is going to end up, everybody's going to see it, you know. Were you nervous about that?
I didn't really think much of it really at that point.
And if I recall, didn't she? I'm sorry, I say these stories run together, and I go over them again and again, and then I get mixed up. I have to check them as I write to make sure I have it right, because there's so many sources of information of some kind. Didn't she interview your grandpa or talk with him at all? I thought I recall she did.
I don't believe she did.
Okay, I got that mixed up with another one of the stories. So there it was, and the story appears, and it's a very nice story about the beginning of an idea. What did you think of it when you first saw it?
I thought it was really cool. When we first saw the article, it was in a newspaper stand at CBS, and it was really cool. It was on Sunday, and yeah.
Those huge Sunday papers. And the article is published. Did anybody comment to you about the article? I mean, outside of your family?
Yes. So the following Monday, so after the newspaper came out on Monday, a lot of people from my 5th grade class, they were like, I saw you in the newspaper, and I was like, yeah. That's it.
Suddenly famous.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of million people read that newspaper, and they saw it. And I imagine you talked to your friends at school? You mentioned these cups, just in talking over the many months. They were aware. Were they aware of these cups, or were they aware of these that you'd made this design, this idea?
Not at all. Not at all. At this point, until they saw the newspaper, they had no idea, because I just didn't talk about it.
Comment from your teacher or anybody at the staff at school?
Yeah, no teachers knew about it until the Tribune came out.
Oh, that's what I mean. Any comment from your teachers about the when the Tribune story came out? They must have been pleased to see this.
Mhm. Oh yeah. My 5th grade teacher, she was flabbergasted. I don't really remember a specific comment, but I do remember her being very, very surprised.
Why would she be surprised? You're a smart girl. Smart student.
Yeah. So I didn't really get that good of grades in school a lot of the times, because I tend to procrastinate when it comes to homework, and I tend to just get sidetracked a lot. So that's part of the reason why.
Okay, so the story's there, and it was posted at the school, if I recall.
Yeah, it was. It was posted at. It was posted in my classroom, like my main classroom in 5th grade. But then it was also because something that they did was you just have like English, science, and social studies in one class, but then for math you would go to a different class if you needed to go to a different class. And my math teacher also put it up on her board.
That must have made you feel pretty good.
It did.
So then, what's the very next thing that happened? Tribune story's out. Crowdfunding is going well. What's the next thing that happened?
The next thing that that happens is the cups finally come in, and
there was no other media coverage until the cups arrived.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just getting my time.
And the cups finally come in, and I remember that my dad pulled me out of school early the day before winter break to pack cups in our basement, and we
because they just arrived.
Yeah, and we loaded them up on this giant rental truck. But yeah.
And they were delivered to your home.
They were. I don't remember if they were delivered to our old apartment at the time or to the post office that we then took back.
Well, I mean, you got them. You did the packing and unpacking and all that at home, or did you do it somewhere else?
Oh yeah, we did it in the basement of our apartment, of our old apartment at the time.
And that was well, about how? I can't find it. How many? About is it a few hundred cups? A few hundred cups? Or a few dozen cups?
1,000.
1,000 cups. I put in a request to your dad for the exact count, but it was 1,000 cups. So suddenly you're sitting there in the basement with 1,000 cups in packing crates. What were your thoughts at that point? Everybody else is going off on winter break to have fun, and you suddenly have 1,000 cups to deal with.
I mean, honestly, at that point, I was very hungry, as I a lot of the time am. But I didn't.
Well, he brought you home from school when they'd arrived. The cups had arrived, and when did you go help him pick? I mean, did he take you down to the basement and suddenly you saw all these boxes, or how were you introduced to the fact that the cups were here?
Yeah, basically, he just took me down to the basement, and there were like a lot of cups already unboxed, so we just kind of had to go from there.
Did he say anything when he brought you down and said, "Here it is," or It must have been a very pleasing moment then.
Yeah, but I really just don't remember any specific commentary.
Well, that's good. If you don't remember, that's normal. And so you and he and anybody else settled down to work. First, you had to. Well, what did you had to get them and unpack them and repack them and send them out. That was basically what you were up to, right?
Yeah, my dad, my mom, and I were all doing that, basically.
And it must have been. And what did you think when you opened it and saw they said the cups were, some of them were unpacked. What did you think of the cups? Did you like what they'd done?
Yeah, I thought they were. I thought they looked like something that I would find at Walmart or something.
So they looked very professionally made and all handmade, if I recall, because that's how they do it. And they were all porcelain, and they were all white. Or were they come in different ways?
Yeah, they were all white.
Okay. And meanwhile, you had a list of orders to fill, right?
Mhm.
So you had to unpack them and your father had to go get the right kind of packing, which probably went over to U-Haul and picked up the right kind of packages to mail or UPS or something, because you had to take them out and then pack them so they wouldn't break and address them and all that.
Mhm.
Do you remember how many orders you had to fill right at that moment, roughly, at all?
Not really. I don't remember.
A few dozen at least, though.
Mhm.
I mean, you didn't have orders for all 1,000 yet, or did you? Did you, or did you?
We did.
Oh, okay. So, how long did it take you to turn that all around? Did you put music on? It must have taken hours and hours and hours.
We didn't really put any music on, but it did take us a very long time to do that.
And you put each one in a box, and you handwrite the addresses, or did you manage to type them out, or how did that work?
The addresses, they were already printed out, so we just taped that to the box, and then we just put in and then we just had like one giant box. We just had like one box, and then we put the kangaroo cup that was already in its own packaging for how many they ordered.
And then, some people ordered more than one, and so it's different orders, different sizes, and you had these all packed in all these boxes, and that meant you had to load them all back. Did you have to load them in a truck and take them somewhere, or did the UPS come and pick them up, or how did that work?
We rented out a truck that we had to use.
And so that was hard. It was hard physical work. You were having to bring up these boxes from the basement and carry them to a truck, and it's not easy being an entrepreneur sometimes.
Mhm.
All right. Well, you're getting these orders out, and you got them out, and was that through the Postal Service, or was it through UPS, or do you remember?
I believe it was a postal service, maybe. Yeah.
Did you start getting feedback from these people once, take a few days for boxes to be delivered, and then people would be opening them in their homes? I imagine these boxes went all over the country or even outside the country, right?
Mhm. Yeah. I remember we got one picture where a person packaged the kangaroo cups and put them on top of the box and underneath their Christmas tree.
Well, that must have been nice to see that,
Yeah.
So we were moving toward Christmas, of course. Then you got the 1,000, you got them all sent out. Christmas is coming.
Mhm.
Was it kind of a break for Christmas, or did you have to go and was there more media attention? When did the next media attention come?
Honestly, I don't really remember the next media attention that we got.
Well, I mean, you had stories done on you by a bunch, NPR and National Public Radio and Huffington, and you don't remember which one came next.
Yeah, I don't really remember which one came next.
Yeah, but they all sort of came together. I mean, you had they all sort of, the Tribune, Huffington, the Incredible Kids, they all sort of came after Christmas.
We were hoping to get them out, and we're hoping to, we were hoping for the kangaroo cups to get to them by Christmas, and I think some of them did, but some of them got a little bit, but a lot of them got a little bit after Christmas.
And somebody sent you a nice picture of them. With any comments that you recall?
Not that I recall.
Some of them arrived broken. That happens when you're shipping ceramics. So that was a comment. So you had to resend those, I suppose.
Yeah.
But the next media attention, Huffington and all that, didn't come until after the holidays, I take it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just take one at a time. Well, CNN was down the road, and the White House was down the road a bit, right? The other things came first, like Huffington and.
Mhm.
Okay. We'll just take each one. How did you do the Huffington one? Did they call you and do it by phone, or was there somebody there who interviewed you in person, or?
The CNN or.
Well, it's hard for you to tell which one was next. I mean, I thought CNN came a little bit. I could check the dates of these things, but the Huffington person did the Huffington piece on you, and well, no, wait, the Huffington Post piece was just before Christmas. It was published December 23rd, and trying to think here. Oh, that came much later. I'm sorry. I thought we had the order, and so I'm just checking something really quick.
CNN Heroes tradition, honoring young people who are making.
CNN. Well, the CNN was way down the line. That was 2014. Okay. Huffington came right around Christmas time. Do you remember being interviewed for Huffington?
No. I don't think we were interviewed for Huffington, were we?
Oh, you mean? I'm sorry. Well, the Huffington was the reporter did the report. Where is this thing?
This is the story of a little girl.
Yeah, Huffington by Jacqueline Adelberg was her name. It was about kangaroo kids and tiger moms. There's a picture of you with the cup, but that wasn't an interview. Well, I guess it was just you were the swirl of attention that came. You were interviewed. You did something for BBM TV, and you did all in fairly short order, I take it, because the notes don't make it much clearer exactly how fast all this happened or how strung out it was.
I mean,
I know it's tough because things run together. I mean, in Majuru, you started up the website, right?
Mhm.
And all right, yeah. Well, let's put it a different way. You had the Tribune. You had the what was the thing that the next of all the attention it received? What happened next, as far as maybe media attention, or it was time to order more cups? You needed to order more cups, right?
Yeah, we did.
And how did that work out? Was it from the same company in China, or did you have to search? I believe you looked for some domestic producers, USA producers, right?
Yes, because because it would have been too expensive to buy another 500 cups and keep them in inventory. So we tried to find a local potter.
And how did that go?
Not well. We tried to find a potter in Evanston, but the cups that came out, the rim ended up being triangular and saggy.
Oh, no. So the work just wasn't up to par.
Mhm.
Why would it come out? I'm just curious why it would come out different when you had the drawings. It's obvious what you wanted. You had prototypes. It's obviously what you wanted. Did this person just say this is the only way I can do it? Or?
Well, I mean, we had the molds shipped over, so he used the molds. So we weren't really sure why. But I guess this is just my guess that the combination with I don't know, maybe there's a different glaze that came to the issue, but we don't really know exactly.
All right. So then what? That didn't work. So now what?
Well,
It doesn't have to be what happened next, but what you would remember next, what you were involved in, because this book is through you.
We kept trying, and but then that's when Channel 2 News came.
Oh, okay. And you got word Channel 2 News wanted to do a story on you. How did that happen? Did they come out? Did you go meet them somewhere?
They came out, I remember. We woke up early. We went to my grandma and grandpa's, and they interviewed and filmed there.
Okay. Do you remember the reporter's name? I've had trouble tracking down that particular video. I've worked at it, but so I had a camera crew and your grandma and grandpa and your dad and you, and they were putting together a story.
Yeah. They interviewed my me, I think my grandpa and my dad.
No, I believe they did. And that was a big leg up. So the publicity was still getting out. And then meanwhile you were looking for your cups had been ceramic until now, right?
Yes.
The move to plastic came a little bit later, or was it about then?
I mean, I'm sorry, what was the question? I was spacing out.
The decision to produce the cups in plastic as well as ceramic. I understand from our readings you just thought, you and your dad just thought there's something sturdier that wouldn't shatter if you dropped it on the floor.
Mhm. I mean the plastic kangaroo cups came when we got the call from the Tonight Show.
And how long was that? Way down the line, or was that pretty soon?
That was relatively. That was it wasn't really wasn't really far. It wasn't really more down the line or soon. It was just kind of like in the middle. But what
Well,
happened
put it this way, was it in the year 2013?
No.
The year after you received the cups in the end of 2012 and moved into that and the Tribune story and everything, and then 2013 happened. Was it?
Well, what happened was that they reached out to us, and they asked us to submit an audition video, and we were just thinking we can't come to the show empty-handed if we do get on the show. So what happened? So that's when we came up with the idea for the plastic kangaroo cup.
Oh, and they got a hold of you. And as far as a video, did you just send in your crowdfunding video, or did you make a new video?
No, we made a new video for the audition video.
I'm trying to think. Who was the Tonight Show host at that time? Was Jay Leno still there, or I'll have to just look it up.
No, Jimmy Fallon, the Tonight Show.
Jimmy Fallon had already taken over. And, well, that must have been, and I know it didn't work out, but, I mean, that must have been exciting to think you'd be on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, it was. Well, the Tonight Show actually never ended up happening. When it first came up that they were interested in perhaps doing a piece, that must have been exciting because that's a huge show. Yeah.
And then you sent in the video and you just waited and you figured it would happen or it wouldn't. And then how did you get word that it didn't fit their plans for just then?
And so, what do you mean?
Well, you submitted the video. They expressed interest. And what was the video? Somebody interviewing you, or did you?
No, it was just me explaining like the kangaroo cup and like how it all started and like all of that.
Well, how did you find out that you weren't going to be on the Tonight Show?
They just never called us again.
They do that something. They just never. That's how show business works. But had NPR happened yet?
No.
Okay, so you still had NPR to come, and you still had the CNN to come, but that was down the line a bit. But then you got into plastic cups. How did you arrange the manufacture of those? Some of these questions might be better for me to ask your dad, but and it's in there. But I just want to know how involved you were in that particular thing of finding a plastic manufacturer. So were you? Was there more design work to do, or did the prototypes work and you just say, we just want this in plastic, or how did that work?
Well, I mean, what happened was when the Tonight Show fell through, we put up all this work. So we decided to make another crowdfunding campaign for the plastic kangaroo cup.
Right. With a new video? Same video?
Yeah.
And how did that work?
We used a new video to explain the plastic kangaroo cups. It was a lot different. There was actually somebody there who knew how to make the video, like the general video quality, look better, and yeah.
And so that went out and how was the response to that?
It was huge. We there in the end, when we were funded, we ended up we ended up getting over $62,000.
Wow, that is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And again, did you have another go around when the plastic cups arrived in a bunch of boxes and you had to do all that, or was it handled the same way?
No, it wasn't handled the same way because we didn't look for a manufacturer until later.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried one place. We tried one place that was a little bit away, but we could still drive there. That didn't end up working out. So we ended up going with somebody in California.
So they'd make them, and so you did, and was it the same situation? They'd make up a whole bunch of. Do you remember what the order was for? How many?
Well, I mean, it was a lot different. It was a lot more complicated. Because we had to completely redesign the ceramic cup for plastic. So it took a lot of back and forth, going back to the drawing board and see how it would work. But it just kind of it was kind of a little bit slow at that point. But yeah.
And while this is going on, you're coming up with the design, negotiating with California. CNN hadn't happened yet, or the White House.
No, not yet.
Right. Well, so the company in California, you came up with a design. You said it was complicated, going back and forth a lot. What were some of the problems with switching it over to, I don't know anything about it, so I could say, well, just make it plastic instead of ceramic. Of course, I know it's more complicated than that. But what had to be done? You had to figure out colors, I think, and all that kind of thing, or what?
Well, I mean, the first thing that we had to do is we had to figure out how plastic molds would work as opposed to, because at that point we were so used to ceramic that we were kind of like, oh, well, all right, so this doesn't work, so we're going to have to do this differently. Oh, wait, and we also figured out that this doesn't work either, so we have to do this. And then we have to use plastic injection molding, which is a lot different. So it's kind of like we have to figure out all of the complications so it would work for plastic, and then we didn't really figure out colors and things like that until a little bit later.
I imagine you had to figure out all kind of details. I mean, whether it should be dishwasher safe, that sort of thing, all the little technical things, and which I know they are. And how was your father during all this? There's a lot of work for him too. Was he saying, boy, I didn't realize what we were getting into, or was he pretty excited about the whole thing as time went on?
A little bit of both, honestly. He was definitely. I was really excited about like how these cups were going to look, and like all these, and about like all of like these articles. I was really excited about that. And I think my dad was excited about that too, although I can't really speak for him because, but yeah, that was a lot of work for him. So I think a little bit of both.
So you found the manufacturer, and it took months. You finally put together the plan, the design, and you, I guess, you placed an order at some point.
Yes. It wasn't. We didn't really get the plastic cups out until actually pretty recent.
Right.
but yeah.
Yeah, I'm doubling ahead time. I have to go according to a timeline, but I'm doubling ahead. And by the time you got the Plastic Cubs out recently, you'd already been given the CNN award, right?
Yes, by that time.
And tell me a little bit about that. That must have been, to be honored like that. How did you hear about it?
So what happened is they reached out to us and they're like, hey, so we're with CNN, CNN Heroes. We're like the gist of it was like we're from CNN Heroes and we're interested in Lily for a Young Wonder segment for CNN Heroes, and they're like they asked us if we would like to do it, and we said yes, and then they're like, all right, so we're gonna be in Chicago for a few days, and we're gonna film the segment.
And so did you know about CNN Heroes before this?
Honestly, not at all.
Well, it's nice. Suddenly you're a hero now, and you are. And so what happened? They came out, and how was it accomplished that the segment was made? Tell me about the segment in your own words.
Well, they came out for 3 days, and they filmed in the apartment. At the time, the factory that was local, so that was before that was before we kind of made the deal with the people in California. And then it was at my grandma and grandma's house, and then at my my drum practice for school.
So that was a camera crew coming to your school. That must have caused a little hubbub among the teachers and you. That must have been fun.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And were you interviewed by Anderson Cooper does that. You didn't deal with Anderson Cooper in particular, or did you?
No, I was not interviewed by Anderson Cooper, but we did get a picture. We did get a picture when we were in New York for the dinner, and and yeah.
Well, tell me about that. Going in suddenly, you're off in China, now you're back, time passed, but I mean, now suddenly you're off to New York. Well, you've been to New York before?
Yeah, we have been to New York before because we have a family in Brooklyn. But it was sort of like nothing like I'd seen before. We were in all of these big events are kind of strangely in and they're kind of all in one chain, I guess. So before we were in New York, we were in St. Louis, and then we flew to New York.
What was St. Louis for?
We do the Trip Start events. Has my dad told you about that?
I'm sorry, the which?
The Trip Start.
I didn't hear you. Pardon me?
In St. Louis, we were there for Trip Start. Has my dad told you about that?
And which we'll be talking about in the future as well as this takes shape. What do you think of New York?
Oh yeah, it's really huge, but it's also really cool.
How is it different from Chicago, to your mind, the way you look at it?
It's a lot louder. There were in the middle of the night, there were sirens just constantly blaring, but my dad and I really didn't care about that because we're both very heavy sleepers.
Well, and it's twice as big as Chicago, but Chicago's got some sirens of its own, but it's what you know. I had a friend from New York, and I said, whenever I go to New York, It always, when I'm in the middle of Manhattan, it always seems a little ominous to me. And she said, that's funny. That's how Chicago seems to me when I go to Chicago. So it's what you're used to. But, large cities, I did some research, Jingdezhen, if I'm pronouncing it at all correctly. It's bigger than Philadelphia. It's a big city. These can be deceiving. So you're in New York for that event, and how did that go?
We were in New York for, I believe, 3 days, and we went there a day before to just to like go to the hotel, and then the second day it wasn't for a while, so we just kind of like walked around New York, and then we already had a dress for me, which there's a funny story connecting to buying a dress for this event. Before we went to St. Louis, then New York, because before we went on the plane, this is like the day before, and then my dad just thought that this was it's just like a small conference, like if you just wear like jeans and a t-shirt to it, whatever. And then we actually looked it up, and it was like this huge event, like Benedict Cumberbatch is gonna be there, and we're like, okay, so we should buy some. Right? Yes, for the CNN, and we're like, all right, so we're at Macy's, so we're at Macy's like after school, and we're like looking for a dress for me last minute. So that's kind of a funny story. I thought I'd.
What kind of dress did you pick out? What color? What did it look like?
It was like a black dress. I'd say it was like a little bit under. Like I say, it was like flared out, and it was like a little bit underneath, or maybe two on it.
Sort of a formal dress. I mean, for a fancy dress for a fancy event.
Yeah.
All right. So we don't have much time left, but we'll be going back over this too. But you arrive at the event, and what happens there? Did you hang out with Benedict Cumberbatch?
No, he was not at the same table. But what happened was I was a young wonder, and what they actually did was they had all the young wonders go down to the lobby of the hotel, and then there was like this van to pick us up, and this is a story that my dad just loves, and it's like a thing that hangs on our wall, and it's this envelope that they gave us in the van. And it had like our ID cards and where we were going to be sitting inside of it, but on the envelope it says my name in big letters, and then like Joseph Bourne in small letters, and then underneath, and then, as my dad quote unquote, to remove all doubt, guessed in parentheses.
Well, you're the hero. But how was the dinner?
Yeah.
How was the dinner? Did you get to meet any people? Any people you wanted to meet, or did you just have a nice time? Just a very nice evening.
We got to meet a lot of people. My dad and I, we were kind of like really like the only people that were really pushing to get pictures of all these celebrities, and so when we got there, it was at the Museum of Natural History, and like it was like, and like there was like this big like red carpet. It was really cool, and this intern, I'm assuming intern, I don't really know, but she was just like leading me and two other kids and their parents and my dad along with, and then along the way we got some pictures with Anderson Cooper and other people, and funny.
Remember some of the other people you wanted to have pictures with?
I actually think that Anderson Cooper was the only one that we got in that specific area while we were.
He's the big CNN guy. Yeah.
and what ended up happening was, I guess, they just weren't really getting exactly, like, I guess, like, they were just kind of rushing, and it was like a huge night, and like they were just kind of rushing, and everybody was like, oh, we got to do this. But what ended up happening was that they accidentally let us into Kathy Griffin's green room. So so we got a picture, and and again, another funny story, my dad posted on Facebook and tagged Kathy Griffin as Kathy Lee Gifford.
Common, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But then was later informed that those are two entirely different people.
Right, but the names are easily, I've done that kind of thing. Well, what did you think of the whole evening? You must have been, let me guess, at the end of that evening you were a little tired. But
oh, yeah. Yeah,
you got a lovely dress out of it and a lovely evening, and I think it just started with a little drawing on your grandpa's dining room table.
Yeah.
Oh, your father talks about how an idea is not like a light bulb going off, but it's like a little spark, and you have to keep it going and let it grow. And that's what we're writing about. What happens when an idea happens. And so was that it for New York?
Well, I mean, and then there was like, and then there was the rest of the night that I didn't really get to today.
Pardon me?
There was like the rest of the night that I didn't really get to today.
Would you time for you to just go home and go back to the hotel and go to bed?
Well, I meant like the rest of the night at CNN, but yeah.
But and then you got to watch the whole event on videotape, or it was a live CNN event, right?
No, it wasn't live. They pre-recorded it.
It was videotaped. They tape it for later. Yeah, they'll want to edit it and all that. When you're in New York, did you have time to do any sightseeing? Is there anything particular you like to look at? You said you and your dad just went out for walks at some point.
Yeah, like at the beginning we kind of were just like were just like walking around. We went to a shopping mall, but we didn't really go to like any huge places in New York. Just kind of like went around, and yeah.
Just enjoyed the town. Do you remember what hotel you stayed at?
I believe it was the Empire Hotel.
Well, in Manhattan, but and that was just the beginning. Your traveling is continuing. I see. The hour is up, so I won't hold you any longer. But we can do this again next week.
Yeah.
As I say, I have voluminous material, but this is through your eyes, and I just have to go over. And I'm sorry if this is tiresome for you, but it's how it's done. And always remember that little details, and you told some wonderful stories here, and the little details like the color of a car or what was said. Did Anderson Cooper say anything to you, by the way, or except how do you do? When you met up, briefly.
I don't really remember. It might come up to me later, but
as I say, if any thought what someone said, it helps when someone's reading a story to those little details may seem even irrelevant. I mean, what's the relevance of whether a convertible is silver or not? But it helps the person visualize and be there when he or she is reading the story, and that's why I seek out. So if anything pops into your head as to what somebody said or something that you remember, like some of the nice stories you've told, just put them down in an email and send them off to me, and they'll be useful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll set you free now, and it's good talking to you again.
You too.
Good night.
Good night.